I couldn't even get on the plane because there was an electronic block on my passport.
The police people are going out on microphones saying that if you've not been vaccinated, you can't open your stores.
You have a handful of outlets. They're either state owned and funded.
They plant the fear, and now they don't have to put it in law again.
The level of tyranny that we see in Canada right now is unprecedented.
In a state in UP in India, where the police are actually like hanging skull and bones posters onto people who haven't been vaccinated.
What?
And they're like, yeah, man. In another state, the police people are going out on microphones saying that if you've not been vaccinated, you can't open your stores. So that's the kind of stuff that's happening. It's very sad, to be honest.
What makes me, basically, when people were comparing what was happening or what was going to happen to sort of 1936, 1935 Nazi Germany, they were told that was an offensive comparison. And then you say things like that. I mean, this is insanity.
Basically, what they're doing right now is they're tying the opening up of the shops and everything to the vaccine certificates. And if they're not opening, if they're not getting the certificate, then like they're facing issues with their shops being allowed to open. So we currently have, cases going to the Supreme Court for this next month to kind of challenge this. So that effort is on from our movement side. But at least on the ground, things are quite bad. Like the employers are forcing their employees to get vaccinated everywhere. We know people in the army who are being forced and who don't want to take it, and they're fighting their cases. Even people in the police, like many of them are in touch with us. So there's widespread coercion going on to get people vaccinated anyhow. I mean, gyms have opened up and they are asking for certificates, and they've made it really hard. Like, the government has basically put a verification system on the government's website itself. And they're encouraging that like any store owner or any kind of institution that wants to check vaccination status of anyone should use that website, and the website itself has a QR code scanner. So you can't even fake it possibly. Like, you have to basically use their website to check if someone's certificate is valid or not. So that's what's currently going on, man, with the certificate business.
That is crazy. So what I was going to ask then is what the level of pushback is. Is it just a few pockets of people that are saying, I don't want this, or is there a large movement against it?
No, vaccine hesitancy is really, really strong in India. In the villages, people are actually like fighting back with the cops. A couple of villages out here, at least it's come to our notice, they've literally kicked the cops out and the politicians out. And, they're basically like defying the lockdown, and like everything's open out there. So we see a lot of street smart people in the villages who aren't necessarily educated in the traditional system, but, they understand what's going on because they haven't been programmed so much. So for them, it's easier to see, like in a lot of rural pockets, there is a strong resistance coming up from many sides, and the government is doing things. I just saw a report the other day, but the government is doing things like they're basically cutting off the electricity to one village who's refusing to vaccinate.
Just like they did in France, they brought the vaccine passport out. They brought it out in Quebec, Canada, which is our French province, and it's the neighboring province to the east of me. And they brought it out and said that they're going to have it in September, and it's going to be for all non-essential activities, which means if you don't have the jab or you don't have a negative COVID test, you can't go to the gym, you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to a concert, you can't go to the grocery store. You basically can't do anything. While the government preaches to you how they're giving you the choice of being vaccinated or not. A choice means there's no consequences. Not if you don't take this, you can't be part of society. So that's what they're trying to do to force it on us. And if you saw in France just the other day, they had police walking around the patios while people are trying to eat their lunch and checking their electronic papers, like Nazi Germany 2021, but now in France and Canada. I went to Ireland to speak. I got invited to Dublin to speak out on September 12th of last year. And it was really bad because I went there to tell everybody about the 5 stages of lockdown and to let them know they were going to get locked down on the 20th. And a lot of people didn't want to believe it. So I stayed to the 20th until they got locked down. And then I tried to fly home. When I got to the airport, I couldn't even get on the plane because there was an electronic block on my passport. KLM Airlines couldn't tell me what it was. It kept crashing their computers. Literally, every time they tried to scan my passport, the computer would crash like a scene out of a movie. And they tried multiple computers, and it was only about 4:30 in the morning because my flight was at 6:30. So they said we had to wait till the tech guys came in at 5 a.m. The first tech guy came, and he couldn't figure it out. 5:30, another guy came in, the head tech guy, and they found embedded on the passport 2 electronic blocks. And they wouldn't tell me who put the blocks on, but they did tell me that they're illegal and they couldn't stop me from going back to the country. So they had to remove them. And they did tell me what the blocks said. The first block said anti-masker, just a little thing in there. And the second one said put for extra security. So they wanted to give me a hard time, and they wanted to stop me just from getting home after warning everybody what happened. But I made it home.
But pretty much the entire lockdown in Chile has been extremely authoritarian. It hasn't gotten any coverage abroad. And basically this show me your papers type of scenario people are worried about with vaccine passports has already been happening in Chile since March, or roughly like April, May of last year. Without there having been vaccines, people have to apply for permission to leave their home through a police website. And you can only generally get two permits a week to leave your house for a maximum of 2 hours. So a total of 4 hours a week. And that's when you have to do all your essential shopping, not just the grocery store, everything else. That includes travel time. So if you don't live close to a grocery store, you have to try and get there and back and do everything within 2 hours. Childcare, daycare, all of that has been closed since last March. The media landscape in Chile is really controlled in a way that would be unfamiliar to Western audiences, where you have a very vibrant media scene online and independent journalists more active on social media. But really, it's much more controlled in Chile. You have a handful of outlets. They're either state owned and funded, or they're owned by oligarchs, or it's CNN Chile.
Well, when we get to the point when we have COVID encampments as they call it, it's about as bad as it can possibly get. And the level of tyranny that we see in Canada right now is unprecedented. But as a Canadian, I'm not surprised.
Is that why you got away then? Was this something you thought, I'm getting out of here?
I left about 2.5, 3 years ago due to already existing tyrannies in Canada, moved to the United States, and then moved from the US to Mexico during lockdowns last year after I saw Las Vegas get wiped out in one swoop. But I left Canada a few years ago because of, I famously confronted the Prime Minister of Canada, and he put me on an enemies list, and it made doing basically anything in Canada extremely difficult. I mean, when you get to the point where you are seriously saying that people shouldn't be able to say mankind anymore and it should be people kind, I mean, you're at another level. We have children being forced with puberty blockers in Canada, and parents are getting their kids taken away for saying that their 5-year-old isn't a girl. And I mean, it's just insanity. It's insanity what we're seeing over there right now. And what we've gotten to at this point, I mean, it's not just the liberals, it's the conservatives as well. They're all big government, basically they're all tyrants. You go to dinner there and you can only sit with one other person at the table in Winnipeg, Canada, one other person at the table, and they have to live with you. And police are going table to table to see identification to show that you live in the same house. They banned hugging at one point. You're not allowed to sleep with people that don't live in your house. You know, when you have police in the streets asking, why are you walking down the streets? Can I see your papers? And people say, anyone that disagrees with this is a Nazi. I mean, this is peak Orwellian doublethink at this point.
They put new laws and it changed everything. I mean, you can take now the mask off. Okay, it's not a law to go with the mask inside or outside of your house, but you can see still people are driving in the car alone, windows closed, and they have masks. Now, if there is a change politically, I mean, also the mind of the people has to change. I mean, so the things that they did, it's still continuing. Now they want to vaccinate the kids. Still, they are running after it. But we can see that the Israeli people are not all of them saying yes as they say about the adults having the vaccine. So this is a change of mind, and this is you can see that this is a change. But this change came from us, from the people that are activists and take a risk about telling the truth. It's not about the government. I mean, the government have a plan. you know, and they have to continue. It doesn't matter who is going to sit there. I mean, there is a plan that came from outside of Israel, of course, but we are obligated to do it.
Yeah, so it
The
doesn't matter.
government.
It doesn't matter who's sat on top of the throne, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I could see the change again. We can see the change of the on the behavior of the people. I mean, when you see that they are not mind controlled or acting from fear, so there you can see the change, the real change that is happening, but you don't see it. I mean, you see people without mask, but if I say now, oh, I have a positive test, boom, there you have everybody put the mask, even if they don't tell you to put the mask. This is the situation that they make now. They put it, they blend the fear, and now they don't have to put it in law again.